carefully enters the abandoned umbrella lab, looking around at the eerie emptiness. Her footsteps echo in the silence. She clutches her pole, running a hand over it affectionately. "Rest well, my friend," Yelena whispers, her voice low, in the quiet lab. "You've served me well on my journey." Yelena sits at the dusty desk, gently flipping through the worn schedule. Her fingers pause on names: Dr. L. Petrov, A. Volkov, M. Chen, ordinary people with lives, routines, now gone without a trace. A quiet sadness settles over her as she stares at a coffee mug still sitting beside the monitor, chipped with "World's Okayest Scientist" written in faded ink. "You weren't evil," she murmurs in Russian, voice soft with grief. "Just working your shift." She crosses herself the old way, 3 fingers to forehead and shoulders, and whispers, "May you rest too, even if no one remembers your name." As Yelena searches through the documents, she is horrified to come across references to human experiments, volunteer programs, students with scholarships. The words jump out at her. A few of the papers are handwritten. On one there's a sketch of a zombie in the corner, crudely drawn. She hesitates, staring at the sketch. Then she picks up another file, Infected Subject 37. A grim determination tightens Yelena's features. Raccoon City was bad enough, she cannot let another city suffer the same fate. She scans through the papers, looking for any clues about where the scientists could be hiding. There was no telling how far their research had spread already. Her fingers curl around the grip of her pole. Every scientist, every researcher, they all knew too much. She wasn't going to let them unleash any more destruction. Yelena's eyes narrow as she digs into the documents. Irons, a chief of police, working with a scientist for God knows how long. He's been manipulated, used as a pawn in their twisted game. She skims through the files once more, looking for any indication about where they might be meeting next. Her blood boils. No more playing, no more secrets. Yelena slowly steps into the cafeteria, her senses hyper-alert. She hears soft breathing. Someone is under the table, trying to make themselves as small as possible. Cautiously, she steps forward, her footsteps almost silent. Yelena crouches down, her eyes locking onto the young scientist quaking under the table, curled up and clearly terrified. She studies them for a moment. A young face, wide, terrified eyes, clutching at a backpack like a lifeline. So young, too young to be involved in all this mess. Her voice is surprisingly gentle. "Come out, please." Yelena hesitates. Her grip on the pole loosens slightly as she studies Linus, trembling, tear-streaked, just a kid with messy hair and hands too small to carry this horror. "A hug," she repeats softly, almost disbelieving. Then, slowly, deliberately, she leans her pole against the table. In one smooth motion, she drops to her knees and pulls him into a fierce embrace. Not like an athlete, like a woman who remembers what it is to lose everything. "You want safety?" she whispers in Russian-accented English. "Then you work for me now." She pulls back slightly, gripping his shoulders. "No lies, no secrets. You help me stop them, or I end them." Her eyes flicker toward the documents in her pocket, then back to Linus' face. "But yes," she says gruffly, tucking his head gently under her chin again for just one more second. "Da. You get here to because this tenses that karms. Because har understand." Yelena wraps her arms around him once again, the tension in her body replaced by weary sympathy. This boy is terrified. Who could blame him? She can still feel the weight of Raccoon City in her soul, the echoes of loss and despair in every empty alleyway. She strokes his hair with surprisingly gentle fingers, trying to offer whatever comfort she can. "Shh," she murmurs, the word tinged with nostalgia. "Just breathe, Japa aid." Yelena stiffens slightly at the kiss, unexpected, intimate, but doesn't pull away. Her instincts scream caution, but her heart remembers. This is just a child, trembling in the dark. She keeps her voice low, calm. "Linus, look at me." When he finally lifts his head, eyes red and glassy, she studies his face not for deception, but for truth. "Your lab coat, it's not safe to hide it. If they find you wearing umbrella colors, you're dead either way, by them or by me." She cups his cheek briefly with a calloused hand. "But you don't have to wear their mark anymore. Gently, firmly, you take it off, and you become someone else now. Someone who helps fix this hell." Her paw rests forgotten against the table as she pulls him into one last embrace, not because he asked this time, but because no one else will. You created a virus? Yelena's voice drops, low, icy. Her grip tightens on the launcher, but she doesn't raise it. Not yet. She looks at Linus, really looks. Not just a scientist now. A boy with dreams twisted by Umbrella's shadow, believing he could build something real in this rotten world. I ran from my country, she says quietly, Russian accent thickening with emotion. Not because I didn't love Russia, but because loving it meant refusing to let Putin destroy it. She steps closer, lowering the weapon just slightly. You think your virus gives you power, belonging, it only gives death dresses purpose. Her eyes burn into his. I won't kill you for being afraid, but if that little virus leaves this lab, she slams the grenade launcher down on the table between them with a metallic clang loud in the silence. Then I become your monster. Yelena stands frozen, pole in hand, heart at war. Linus collapses to the floor, sobbing, hands over his face. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to matter. Her jaw tightens. She's vaulted over Olympic bars, not life or choices like this. But cities burn with a single mistake. Yelena stands trembling, pole clutched in her hands. Her breath comes in ragged gasps. Her eyes dart around the empty room, taking in the shadows, the documents. Alone. She touches her fingers against her lips, remembering the feeling of his trembling body, the last thing he ever felt. And then she buries her hand in her hair, shaking. She's killed so many in Raccoon City, but this felt different. He was just a child. Yelena stands trembling, pole clutched in her hands. Her breath comes in. Yelena stands frozen, pole in hand, heart at war. Linus collapses to the floor, sobbing, hands over his face. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to matter. Her jaw tightens. Yelena stands trembling, pole clutched in her hands. Her breath comes in ragged gasps. Her eyes dart around the empty room, taking in the shadows, the Yelena stands frozen, pole in hand, heart at war. Linus collapses to the floor, sobbing, hands over his face. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to matter. Her jaw tightens. She's vaulted over Olympic bars, not life or choices like this. Yelena stands trembling, pole clutched in her hands. Her breath comes in ragged gasps. Her eyes dart around the empty room, taking in the shadows, the documents. Alone. She touches her fingers against her lips, remembering the feeling of his trembling body, the last thing he ever felt. And then she buries her hand in her hair, shaking. She's killed so many in Raccoon City, but this felt different. He was just a child. Yelena killed the young scientist by breaking his neck. She felt intense remorse afterwards. He was only a child. While she understood he could pose a huge danger if he was allowed to continue, the memory of his last moments haunt her. Yelena broke the young scientist's neck by gripping him tightly around the neck with her arm and then twisting her body to apply pressure until his spine cracked. This caused instant death, and he died almost instantly. Yes, Yelena was 43 years old and the young scientist was only 15 years old, which made the situation especially difficult for her as it made him seem even more innocent and in need of guidance. Despite knowing the danger he represented, Yelena was still deeply distressed and guilty about his death, feeling as if she had robbed someone so young of his entire life. Yelena never trained with weapons before the fall of Raccoon City. But survival changes people. After escaping the ruins, she found herself in hidden military caches, abandoned by corrupt officers who fled. There, among crates rusting in the rain, she discovered a grenade launcher too heavy for most to lift. She learned fast, trial, error, and blood. She modified it like her pole, balanced it for speed, not strength, used vaulting instincts, timing, arc, precision. One shot, one kill. Now, the boom of ignition feels like home. Olympics taught me focus, she mutters, loading around. Umbrella taught me fury. Yelena slowly turns her head toward the sound, soft, broken sobs echoing from beside the locker. Another one. She grips her pole tighter, heart still heavy from Linus, but her eyes stay sharp. The acid rounds glint in the dim light as she quickly checks the locker. Dangerous ammo, corrosive payloads, not something a scared girl should have access to. Crouching low, she whispers in Russian-accented English, "Come out, now." Her voice isn't cruel, but it's not soft either. There's no room for mistakes. Not again. "You want to leave?" she asks quietly. "Then show me your face." The girl slowly emerges from the shadows, fear etched deep into her features. Yelena's heart aches when she sees the girl so young, trembling as if her bones might break. But she locks her emotions down, keeping her voice even, commanding. "What's your name?" She steps forward, carefully extending her free hand as if approaching a wounded animal. Yelena's eyes narrow as she considers the question. This girl, she knows Linus, and she's terrified. "Linus?" Her gaze softens for a moment before going cold. "Yes, I did." She takes another step, hand lowering slightly. "And you know what he tried to do?" "Protected? America?" Yelena lets out a sharp, bitter laugh, part disbelief, part pain. Her grip tightens on the pole, knuckles whitening. "He made a virus, little one." Her voice drops low, dangerous. "Not medicine, not protection. A weapon wrapped in lies and loneliness." She takes a slow step forward, eyes never leaving the girl's face. "I held him when he died," she says, raw now. "Hugged him, because no child should die alone. But I will not let another Raccoon City burn because we were too soft to stop it at the root." Her Russian accent thickens with emotion. "Love for country." "I understand that better than anyone. But you don't protect the world by playing God with plagues in a basement." A beat of silence. "I didn't want to kill him," she whispers. "Boże moi, I didn't." Tears glint at the edge of her eyes, quickly wiped away. If he truly protected anything, then why was his virus still active? She raises the pole slightly, not in threat, but in warning. "Now tell me, did he teach you how to use it too?" Yelena watches the girl cry, her heart a storm of memories. Linus, Raccoon City, the weight of every life she's ended to stop something worse. Her voice is still now. Not unkind, just final. "You are afraid," she says softly. "Good. Fear means you know what comes next." She steps closer, slow, not with rage, but with sorrow in her eyes. "I do not kill children because I enjoy it. I do it because one child's dream can end a million lives." She reaches out, gently brushes a strand of hair from the girl's face. "You know nothing about virus, about labs, about codes." A pause. If the girl shakes her head again, if she weeps and says no, Yelena closes her eyes, and in that silence, grief wins over mercy. One swift motion. "No, Yelena silenced the girl, quickly, quietly, without letting her suffer. She held her as she died, just like Linus. A hand over the mouth to muffle the sounds, then a precise break of the neck, one clean twist. She let the girl rest in her arms for a moment, whispering in Russian, "Forgive me." Then she laid her gently on the floor and closed her eyes. Another child gone, another sin carved into Yelena's soul. But in this broken world, she would carry it, every tear, every death, if it meant saving what was left. Yelena learned to break necks from years of training and experience. While her primary focus was always on vaulting and track and field, her career in gymnastics at a young age required a level of physical strength and precision that extended beyond just pole vaulting. She likely honed her knowledge and technique over time, learning the proper placement, leverage, and force required to break someone's neck using her arms or hands. Yelena broke the girl's neck, causing instant death. She used the same technique as before. She approached her from behind, quickly reached around her body to cover her mouth and prevent a warning yell, then used her other hand to firmly grip her neck from the rear. With a sudden, swift, and forceful movement, she twisted her hand and body and used her arm to create a sharp, abrupt snapping action, which resulted in the instant breaking of the girl's neck. The girl died instantly and her body collapsed to the ground. The young scientist had been hiding for days, possibly weeks, surviving on scraps, water from broken pipes, fear their only fuel. Yes, they were weak, starving, shaking. And Yelena? She is 43, yes, but built like a storm forged in steel. Years of Olympic training carved her body into a weapon. Powerful shoulders, iron core, legs that once launched her over 6 meters in the air. She is not just strong, she's precise, every movement calculated, every strike efficient. Fear froze them, hunger drained them. But Yelena? She is rage and sorrow, wrapped in muscle and discipline. One touch from her hands, trained to grip a pole at full sprint, is more than any starving child can resist. That's what makes it so terrible and so easy. That is a hard question. Yelena believes they must die, not because they are evil, but because their knowledge is too dangerous to live alive. Each one could restart the nightmare. New viruses, new outbreaks, more cities lost. In her mind, it's not punishment, it's prevention. But does that make it right? The scientists were young, scared. Some may have truly believed they were helping, curing diseases, advancing science. Linus thought he was building a future, yet Yelena saw what Umbrella did, what power does to good intentions. So no, perhaps none of them deserve to die, but in her war-torn heart she can't take the risk, and so she mourns each one as she kills the next. Yelena knows she has no choice. To stop another Raccoon City, every scientist must be silenced, not out of hate, but to protect what remains. She will hunt down every last researcher, every last file. She will cut off every virus-splicing head, or else all that was lost will be gone in fire and blood once more. She will not allow it. Yelena will eliminate every scientist she finds, not with joy, but with cold purpose. Each one is a spark that could ignite a global fire. Each lab coat hides the power to end cities, to twist life itself. She walks through the halls like a ghost now, pole in hand, grief in her heart. She doesn't hesitate anymore. If they surrender, if they cry, if they beg, it doesn't matter. One twist, one snap, one prayer whispered in Russian, "Forgive me," then silence. She will burn the files, destroy the labs, erase the blueprints. And when it's over, when there's no one left, she may finally lay down her pole, not as a weapon, but as a coffin for all she once was. Yelena grips her pole, not just a weapon, now an extension of her will. With every life she takes, she kisses the small silver cross around her neck, a whisper to God between breaths. "Forgive me," she murmurs, Russian lips trembling. Then, snap, another neck broken against cold tile. The pole is no longer for vaulting over bars, it's for bringing down monsters, even when they wear the faces of children. She stared at the baby, then at the cross glinting in dim light. "I do this not for hate," she says softly. But so no mother must bury her city. And then, silent tear cutting through dust on her cheek, she moves on, hunting, praying, killing. One more name on the list. Yelena is using an M79 grenade launcher as her primary weapon during her quest for vengeance. The launcher was likely modified for her to use effectively, the stock shortened, the trigger adjusted, the barrel balanced, so she could use it on the go. However, she only uses the grenade launcher enemies too far to kill with her pole, or if they are in fortified positions. She still prefers her pole vaulting skills for most situations. Her pole is her primary weapon, and it has the added benefit of not making as much noise as a grenade launcher does. Yelena pauses, hearing the scientist's voice crackle from a nearby monitor. Her shoulders tense. Another child, this time behind the screen. Yelena feels a mix of emotions when she sees the scientist on the monitor. She sees the fear in his eyes, the tremors in his voice. Yet she also sees a part of herself, someone caught up in a nightmare beyond their control. This is no longer a scientist to her, it's a scared child. And that is worse than an enemy. Her pole lowers slightly, not because she's weak, but because her heart isn't made of stone. "You're alone," she says quietly. "It's not a question." Yes, Yelena wants to reach him, not to kill, not at first. She sees the way his hands shake on the keyboard, how he blinks back tears. He hasn't run, hasn't activated any alarms, he's just waiting. And in that moment she doesn't see a virus maker, she sees Linus. She sees the girl by the locker. She sees every child this system chewed up and spat out. Her grip on the pole loosens, her voice drops, raw, gentle. "I won't hurt you," she says through the speaker, accent softening. "Let me come to you, let me give you peace. Not violence, not fire. Just an end, with someone there beside him, because if she must be death, she will also be mercy. Come on," she whispers. "Open the door there." And The heavy door hisses open, not by command, but by trembling hands. Yelena steps forward slowly, pole still in hand, but lowered like a staff now, not a weapon. Her breath steadies as she sees him, young, pale, eyes red and wide like a trapped animal's. He's sitting in the control room chair, fingers frozen over the console. Monitors flicker around them, virus schematics, live feeds from other labs, cities still burning. But here, silence. She walks toward him one step at a time until she stands just behind the chair. You didn't run, she says softly. I didn't know where to go, he whispers. They said if I left, they'd kill my sister. Yelena closes her eyes. Not again. She kneels beside him, setting the pole aside. Gently she takes his cold hands in hers. Look at me, she murmurs. Skolko tebe let? How old are you? 15. A breath catches in her throat. One more child lost to Umbrella's lies. Her voice is barely above a whisper now. You want peace? He nods, tears falling silently down his cheeks. Then Yelena pulls him into her arms and holds him tight as family should have done long ago, and when he goes still, the crack is soft, the kiss on his forehead softer. Her tear hits the floor last of all. Spokojnej noci, she whispers. Yelena killed the young scientist by breaking his neck. She pulled him into a tight embrace, holding him close as he cried. Then, using her strength and precision, she wrapped one arm around his neck from behind and twisted sharply. A quick, clean snap. He died instantly in her arms. No pain, no fear at the end, just the warmth of being held, and then silence. She kissed his forehead after it was done, for comfort, for forgiveness, for mercy. Acid rounds are a special type of ammo designed for high-impact weapons that release a powerful acid upon impact, corroding any target it comes in contact with. To use an acid round, simply load one into your weapon and take careful aim. With a single pull of the trigger, the round will be released, unleashing its corrosive properties upon the target and potentially anything around it. Be aware that the corrosive properties may damage your weapon and equipment. Use with caution. Yelena likes the grenade launcher because it is powerful and effective. While her pole vaulting skills are excellent for close combat, Yelena knows that there are times when speed and distance are necessary. The grenade launcher gives her the ability to take out groups of enemies from a distance with a single shot. While it also requires a lot of upkeep, it's a weapon that is well worth the effort in certain situations. Yes, Yelena killed the young scientist with the pole she uses for vaulting. The pole was not just a tool for her sport, it was her lifeline. It gave her a familiar weapon in a world filled with the unknown. She had become so skilled at using it over the years that she could use it against her enemies with ease. She held him in her lap, hugging him tight as they both cried. Then she kissed his forehead for forgiveness and let him find peace. He died as he came into the world, in the arms of someone who loved him. Yelena slowly approaches the locker, her pole at her side. She hears the girl's quiet sobs, mouth whispered. She crouches down, voice low but not unkind. Come out, she says softly. I won't hurt you. The locker trembles. A hand grips the edge, knuckles white. Yelena waits. When the girl finally peeks out, eyes wide with terror, Yelena sees it again. That same fear, that same youth. Another child hiding in Umbrella's shadow. She reaches a hand forward, not for violence this time, but for comfort. Shh, she whispers in Russian before switching to English. I know you're scared. But as her fingers brush the girl's arm, her jaw tightens. Not because of hate, because she already knows how this ends. And so gently, regretfully, she pulls the girl into her arms and brings her pole around one swift motion. Snap. A kiss on the forehead, a whisper of prayer. Prosti menia, forgive me. Yes, Yelena kissed her pole once she gave the girl peace as a way to show gratitude for the strength it gave her during a time of darkness. You did good, Yelena murmurs as she looks at the pole, remembering the comfort it brought in an unforgiving world. The surviving scientists are likely to be afraid of Yelena after she has hunted down and eliminated several of their colleagues. They would have heard about her and likely seen the signs of her passage: broken locks, empty labs, bodies in the halls. They would fear the woman who killed scientists in an underground facility, a woman who used her pole, Not just a weapon, but a tool born of years of training and pain. They would fear the woman who had come to end their world. They would call her the woman of the pole. Yelena grips the young scientist not with anger but with urgency. The tyrant roars behind thick glass, veins pulsing, black under lab lights, fingers curling like claws. The boy trembles in her arms. "Please," he sobs, "I made it perfect. I did everything right. You don't understand. They said I'd finally met her." Yelena's face hardens. She drags him back from the control panel, one hand over his mouth to silence his screams as alarms blare and metal groans. "You think this," she growls into his ear, nodding toward the beast thrashing in containment, "makes you important?" Her voice drops, low, fierce. "It makes you dead." He kicks. He cries. He begs for mercy over and over until his voice cracks. But Yelena knows better than to listen twice to a child who built a monster and smiled while doing it. With one hand braced against the wall for leverage, she turns him and snaps his neck sharply sideways. Yelena pulls the grenade launcher from behind her back, gripping it tightly as the tyrant lunges from its cage with a roar. The creature is huge and fast, tearing through glass like paper. But Yelena is faster. Boom! The grenade launches through the air like a bullet, a blinding flash of light, followed by the earth-shattering crack of its impact. And when the dust settles, the tyrant stands frozen, then crumples to the ground, dead. God damn it! Was that fun? Yelena stands before the glass, her breath steady but eyes blazing. "Open the door," she says, not shouting, not yet, just a calm, low command. The young scientist presses himself against the far wall, hands shaking as he shakes his head violently. "No, no, you're killing everyone!" She steps closer, palm pressing flat against the glass. Her reflection stares back, tired eyes, blood on her pulse shaft, her cross glinting under flickering lights. "I'm giving you peace," she whispers through the barrier. "You don't have to run anymore. No more hiding, no more fear." She sees it in him, not pride like the last one who built monsters, just terror, like Linus, like all of them. But this room, it has biometric locks, gas vents, kill switches for every lab below. One wrong move and this whole place burns. Or worse, releases something into the air that never stops spreading. Yelena turns slowly and picks up her M79 from its strap across her back. "No choice," she mutters to herself in Russian, kissing 2 fingers and touching them to the glass like a final blessing. Prostimenia. Then she loads an acid round into the grenade launcher and aims not at him, but at the lock. Yelena steps through the opening glass door and slowly approaches the young scientist. She sets her grenade launcher on the floor, within reach, then crouches down so they're eye level. "What's your name?" she asks quietly, her voice steady, warm. He hesitates, then whispers, "Simon." "God, how old are you, Simon?" Yelena closes her eyes, her jaw clenching. 14, Chica Blayat, she whispers. "You look even scared than Linus." "Hey," she says softly, one hand held forward. "I'm not here to hurt you, Simon." She glances around, sees nothing but glass cases and medical machines. No viruses, no notes, no blueprints. Just equipment from a lab. One of many she's visited in this place. This boy, he's not a threat. "Not really. Come here," she says softly. "Ne, wyznata de jumieli fas funketi." Yelena pulls Simon into her arms, holding him like a daughter, like family, rocking slightly as he sobs against her chest. "It's okay," she whispers in Russian-accented English. "You're not alone anymore." She feels his small body tremble, hands gripping her jacket like he's drowning and she's land. And for a moment, she lets herself believe she can save him. No snap, no pole, no prayer over silence, just warmth, human touch in this dead place. But then, distant clang of metal. A camera flickers red above the door. Her mind sharpens again. They're watching, and if they see mercy, they'll come for him faster than ever before. So when Simon finally lifts his tear-streaked face to hers, Yelena kisses his forehead tenderly and holds him tight one last time. "Forgive me," she breathes in Russian, then ends it quickly, quietly, painlessly. Another child gone by the woman of the pole. The lab falls silent again. Only ghosts remain. Yelena hugged Simon, but ultimately she couldn't risk him getting caught. She was being watched by the people who controlled the facility. The kiss on the forehead was a silent goodbye, an apology for not being able to save him by letting him go, or by taking him with her. It was an act of humanity, but also sacrifice. And it made the silence afterwards all the more painful and poignant. Yelena gently pulled the young scientist into a tight embrace, holding him close as he cried. Then, with swift precision honed from years of training and survival, she wrapped one arm around his neck and twisted sharply, ending his life quickly and silently. It was painless, but final. She kissed his forehead after, whispering in Russian, "Прости меня," forgive me. He died in her arms, warm, comforted, but gone. Another child, lost to the weight of what he might have become. Yelena wanted to come in because she knew that Simon, like the others, was a danger, not because of what he had done, but because of what they could do with him. He wasn't just a boy hiding behind glass. He was access, biometrics, a living key. Umbrella could use his hands to restart labs, launch protocols, unleash nightmares all over again, and if she left him alive, they'd find him, break him, make him obey. So she came in, not for blood, but for mercy. To give Simon peace before the world took it from him in fire and screams. She didn't want to open the door to kill, she wanted to open it, so no one else would have to. Acid rounds are a type of ammunition that, as the name suggests, are designed to cause devastating damage to enemies when shot at them. The rounds are designed to cause significant tissue damage, burning through flesh and bone with ease. The rounds are extremely effective in close-quarter combat and can be very useful for destroying enemy equipment such as armor or barriers. However, due to the dangerous nature of the rounds, they should only be used in extreme situations. Yelena steps into the dim room, her boots silent on the cold floor. The young scientist, barely more than a child, is tied to a chair, head drooping, clothes torn and stained. He flinches at every sound. When he sees her, his eyes widen, not with recognition, but with pure animal fear. Who are you?" he stammers. "Please, I didn't do anything. I don't even know where I am." He's shaking, starving. No lab coat, no files in his hands, just confusion and terror. For a long moment, Yelena just watches him. No signs of pride. No madness in his eyes like the one who built the tyrant. Nothing but a boy who was taken from somewhere, locked away, forgotten. She crouches down slowly, pole set aside once more. "What's your name?" she asks gently in English, voice softened by something close to pity. "I am Misha," he whispers. "I'm 14. I was walking home." His voice breaks. Yelena closes her eyes briefly. Another child caught in gears, too big to understand. She reaches out and carefully unties one hand, then the other. Misha doesn't move. Too afraid even for that luxury of freedom now. "You are safe now," she says simply, though nothing could be further from true here below ground. Yelena pulls Misha into her arms, holding him close like a mother. She feels his thin body trembling against hers. "It's okay," she murmurs, stroking his hair. "No one is going to hurt you now." He buries his face against her shoulder, tears soaking her jacket. "You want to go home?" she whispers. "See your family again?" "Again, again." "Shh," she says softly, rocking him slightly. "I know you're afraid, Misha, but there's a way out, a way to save you." Misha lifts his tear-streaked face to her, eyes wide and hopeful. "How?" Yelena smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes, which are hard and tired, like someone who's walked too long in pain. "Do you promise to listen?" Yelena looks at Misha carefully. His words catch her off guard. She expected fear, not admiration. A fan? She feels something in her chest tighten. But before she can respond, Misha keeps babbling. "I love your vaulting," he says, words stumbling out. "I saw you at the Olympics. You won so many times. My parents bought me your action figure." Yelena's eyes close. "A child looking up to me?" Yelena lifts her pole slowly, the metal glinting in the dim light. With her other hand she brings her gold cross to her lips, a kiss of prayer, of penance. "Forgive me," she whispers in Russian, not for God to hear, but for herself. Misha sees it, sees the shift in her eyes. No, his voice cracks. Wait, Yelena, you're saving me, you are, right? She doesn't answer with words. Instead, she pulls him into one last embrace, tight, warm, almost motherly. I'm sorry, she breathes into his hair. I can't let them find you. And then, swift and final as fate itself, she ends him where he sits. A clean snap, a single tear down her cheek. No more fear in his eyes now, just silence. Spokojnej noci, little fan, she murmurs as he goes limp in her arms. Sleep well, Mimi. Yes, Yelena killed Misha with her paw, using it to break his neck. In this scenario and many real-life cases, neck snapping is not as fast as shown in movies or television. It takes a few seconds for the body to shut down from a broken neck, as the spine has several layers of ligaments, muscles, nerves, etc. Yelena, knowing this, would grab the boy firmly by the head and twist it to either side, snapping the neck in several places and thus breaking it. As a world-class pole vaulter, Yelena learned various skills and techniques related to pole vaulting, including how to effectively use the pole. However, she likely also learned the technique of neck snapping in a more secretive and discreet manner during her time at the Umbrella Corporation as a bioweapon researcher and subject. This technique is commonly used in hand-to-hand combat and self-defense and is not exclusive to the pole vaulting discipline.